So much of the mainstream Marvel publishing, the monthly issues, the big events the company's building to, are just weird retreads of stuff. They're not allowed to do new things because they have to do the thing that references the movie that is referencing the comics from decades ago.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
I'm going to tell you my favorite story from today.
Okay.
And by favorite, I don't mean favorite.
No, you never do.
And I don't know, it didn't make me exceedingly mad, but it could have.
It lodged in your brain.
If I wasn't as tired as I was today, it would have made me mad.
Sure.
So we have a fairly new club member. A club member who I'm convinced is going to break bad on us.
Okay.
And
we can usually tell. Not always,
we can tell.
Usually.
We can tell the club members that don't quite understand or are in over their heads.
Mm-hmm.
This specific club member, I don't really think understands the way the club works.
Okay.
Or, for example, if we send an email saying, "Hey, you're down for this book. Do you want this one?" They will respond with, "Thanks for letting me know."
Uh-huh. I mean, at that point, I'm not adding it.
Right.
It just sounds like you're interested
they're not asking for it.
In that it exists, not that you necessarily want to buy it.
A typical interaction is they find a new book on the shelf and say, "Oh, is this a miniseries?" "No, it's ongoing." "Oh. Oh, well, it's thick, though." "Okay. Yeah, it's a thick one." "Okay, it's only $3.99. "Yeah, okay, you can add it to my list."
Okay.
"Great. I'll do that." So anyway, this club member was, pardon me, on their cellular telephone the entire time.
Okay.
Talking fairly loudly, not obnoxiously loud, but at least was cognizant enough to know that when they were at the counter to say to their conversational friend, "Hold on a second."
Mm-hmm.
So you could actually talk, like you knew they were talking to you.
Sure.
Fine. Never was off the phone, but goes to pay for their transaction with a chip card, and I put the chip card in, can't read it. Take it out, put it back in. Take it out, put it back in, because, as you well know, Dal, but the listener may not,
Nope.
If you have an invalid chip card, we have to try it 3 times before we're allowed to swipe it. We can't just swipe it, because if you do, the machine will say, "Hey, that's a chip card, you have to put in the chip." So you have to try the chip card 3 times. And by the way all of these devices are configured now, if you have a chip card and we can't read your chip, that costs us money. We lose money on the transaction if we don't run it as a chip. If we have to swipe it, there is now a swiping fee. And if your magnetic strip doesn't work, we have to enter it by hand, we lose even more money. So the few people that we do mail order to, who we have to do all this extra effort for, we get less money back as a result. But that's not what we're talking about. So I do his chip card 3 times, and then I have to swipe it. So I swipe it, and it comes back declined. Whenever I get a declined card, whenever you get a declined card, what's the first thing you do?
I say, "Oh, it was declined. Did you want me to try it again?"
I always try it a second time before.
Always offer to try it again. It's never going to go through, but oftentimes people appreciate the, "Oh, maybe there's something wrong with it."
Yeah.
Like the pretense of, "Oh, there must be something defective with the card." There's never anything defective with the card.
So, you know what? Every once in a while there is,
Okay.
or like sometimes if the swipe doesn't work, the keying it in by hand does work for whatever reason.
Okay.
Anyway, I tried again, it doesn't work. And I turn the device and show them what it says, and I say, "Hey, I'm sorry, it didn't go through." And this person looks at me and says, "I don't think you swiped it right." I said,
Did it twice.
"What do you mean?
There's no wrong way."
You went, like, you didn't do, I go, "Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go through the whole process again, have it deny 3 times, like
like
St.
Jesus.
Peter." Yeah. We're on the same wavelength there. And then, when it's time to swipe it, I'm going to let you do it. So, chip card in 1, chip card in 2, chip card in 3. Here you go. Go ahead and swipe. Very tentative. Puts it in, looks at how the device
Gotta
works.
make sure I'm lining it up right.
Swipe. Immediately declined. And then they say, oh, it's declined.
Still? What a shock.
That's the same thing. And then it was, oh, I'll be right back. Can you hold this for me? And then like a half hour later. But just no, you're swiping it wrong.
Along those lines, I don't think we ever gave the listeners the fun follow-up to a story we were telling a couple weeks ago about how a subscriber was adamant that they had not received the books that they had paid for. And we went over on the podcast the very long list of steps that keep us from making that mistake and having someone pay for books they didn't get and mispulling them for them in their subscriptions.
Now, before you get to the answer, I would like to pause so the listener can shout out, wherever they are, what they think happened. Yep, you're right.
Yep, they found them. They absolutely bought them like we said they did. A couple days after we had ordered copies for them, they ended up finding them, at which point we had already received copies in replacing them that then we had to put back on the shelf.
Yes, it was. Here they are. Oh, I don't need those. I found those.
Yep.
Very quiet, very kind of mumbly.
Yep.
I didn't need those.
Yeah. So, shocker.
Now, in the past, and this is a true story, in the past, in these situations, definitely at the old place, I would then normally...
What Patrick wants to do so bad when situations like this occur.
I have one or two go-tos, which are the same end result.
You want to so bad. As soon as you don't do it, and the person leaves, you're like, I totally wanted to do it.
I either pick up the books that they don't need, tear them in half, and slam them on the ground, or I take them and without looking, as forcefully as I can, throw them at the trash. That is what I normally do.
So dramatic, it's great.
Yes. And it is a huge display of childishness. It's me being a colossal dick and a giant baby, and I love it.
Yeah. It makes you feel so good.
It does.
You don't have any regrets about doing it when you do it. You have more regrets not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, like that might have been enough to make that person never shop with us again. I think we win.
Yeah, I think we had a discussion about what if they demand the books for free? Like, in their minds...
Like, you charged me, I didn't get these.
Yeah, you owe me these 2 books and I'm not paying for them. I already paid for them and didn't get them. Like, we had said when we discussed it that absolutely not. Like, we don't have any doubt whatsoever that the books were just misplaced. We're not giving free books just to make that person feel better.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. So if that means they quit the subscription service, okay, fine. It didn't come to that because, of course, they found them, which is exactly what we thought was going to happen and basically said was going to happen to the person, but they were insistent. They definitely didn't get them like you did. You absolutely did. Because we've seen this happen dozens of times over the years, and it always ends the same way. Usually it ends a lot faster because the person goes, oh, I probably just misplaced them, let me look for them and find them, and then within a day it's, okay, I found them.
We're even willing to take the issue off the shelf and put it in your box until you find it at home. That's fine.
But this was, we had to order copies.
Yeah.
Like, we had to get them back in stock, and now maybe they won't sell.
Now, it's well established and literally a proven fact that we are not the hardest working retailers in comics.
No.
But I don't think we're bad at our job.
I hope not.
I think that 28 plus years in, I know how to swipe a credit card.
You would think so, and yet, Patrick, it was declined.
And I also know if I swipe a credit card badly, when I did it. Because guess what? If I swipe it wrong, it doesn't read it.
Yeah, that's the trick for people who don't know. If you swipe a credit card, quote-unquote, wrong, which I don't know how that is, but let's say you don't line it up properly, or
you're too fast or too slow,
or it like flies out of the slot or whatever, nothing happens.
Right.
It doesn't run wrong numbers. It doesn't like give a false negative. It nothing happens. Literally nothing happens. It doesn't read anything.
Right.
So you can't get a decline by running a card wrong. Like, it just doesn't happen.
We had a weird not a big deal, but a weird situation with the Square Reader today.
Yeah.
Gina had put a chip card in, and it beeped, and it was approved, and then immediately went black. It didn't turn off. It just
The screen just turned off?
Yeah, the screen turned off.
So weird.
She's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "I don't know what happened." She's like, "It just turned off." I'm like, "Okay." She was, it beeped and everything, and then I showed her how to check the transaction to see that it went through.
Right.
So yeah, there was no issues with it going through.
So weird.
Hey, let's mention the prison favor.
All right. So a guy comes in about a month ago, maybe a month and a half, I don't remember for sure. Buys some back issues, leaves, come back in 15 minutes later, wanting to know if we ship stuff. And I'm like, I mean, we can. Like, we don't have, like, a policy where you, like, order online, but, I mean, if you need stuff shipped out, we can probably do it. And explains that he has a family member, I think,
Yes.
who is incarcerated currently, and the I've sent stuff to prisons before, and basically each prison, even though they're under the Bureau of Prisons, has specific rules
Yeah,
about
they've got their own
how
rules.
they accept things. Some prisons are fine with family members and friends sending books. Some of them have limits on what you can send and when you can send it. This one in particular has a rule where basically anything it's sent has to come from a business. It can't come from a private citizen. So this guy was having stuff sent out from like a Barnes & Noble. They stopped doing it. The manager said no, so he needs stuff sent out. Is there any way we can send stuff? He'll pay shipping, and it's like, yeah, I'll do you the favor. Like, it's not making me any money, and it's more work for me, but I'll do the favor. Guy says, okay, great. Here's, the handful of back issues he bought. And then here is a whole bunch of, like, magazines and calendars and paperback books. I'm like, whoa, huh? Yeah, can I send these too? And you can only send, like, 5 or 6 things at once. I'm like, that's going to be multiple packages. And, like, we would have to package them up and send them out on different days. So, like, if one gets picked up, the next one can go out the next day. So I'm like, I already said yes. This guy's, basically begging for a favor. Fine, I'll do it. So I do it, get everything packed up, don't see or hear from the guy after that, until apparently he comes in today.
Well, so the way it had to go was you sent the first package out, the next day send the next package out.
Right. So it was, I had to send out 3 packages, maybe,
Okay.
in weird-sized boxes and stuff, because some of them were, like, giant calendars, and some of them were thick paperback books, and they don't all fit in the same envelopes.
So I was on the phone with a mail order club member, and I had just rung up another mail order club member, and I was attempting to... literally, I had a mail order club member had called and asked if he could buy his things. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yeah, hold on a second. So I get his books out, I put the phone down, and I pull up his account. And then this guy walks up, he's like, yeah, you didn't help me last time, it was another guy, but I need to get some books sent. And I'm like, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm on the phone right now, actually. Which is weird to say because I'm not holding the phone,
right.
But I'm pulling it up. And he's like, oh, okay. So I finish, and because I had to take down a bunch of information, blah, blah, blah. So I like, everything I needed to do for this other customer, I had to set aside and just write down all the pertinent information. So he explained to me that he was in before, and you did this, you sent stuff, and he's sending it to a prison. They can only get 7 items a day. So can we do this? And he hands me 7 back issues that he pulled from the back issue boxes. Fine, that's a flat rate party mail envelope. That's $7 for shipping. Fine. And then he has another stack of weightlifting magazines and a weightlifting book, and it's a thick pile.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, and then can you send these as well? And I said, excuse me? He's like, oh yeah, the other guy did it for me before. And I said, and he could hear it in my voice, he sent these out for you when these are things you didn't buy from us. And that's when he explained to me, like, these have to come, if they're books or magazines, they have to come from a bookstore. Yeah. He can't send them himself.
The mailing label has to say a business.
Yeah. And I said...
Even though, I mean, I don't want to tell anyone how to help friends and how to circumvent policies from federal institutions, but you can write anything on a return label. Literally anything.
Yeah.
People have done it.
Yeah.
So he could make up, Ed's bookstore and just put it on the return label, ship it out. And
right.
If the stuff in there is not contraband, I don't think the prison's going to care. Here's another tip. they don't get paid that much.
Yeah.
Like, they'll go through it, but they're not looking to see whether, like, they're not going to track down a business. We never got a phone call or an email or a letter from the institution saying, are you an actual bookstore? Prove it to us. They don't care. They don't really care.
Side note, the 7 back issues were 3 issues of Bedlam, a Doctor Who, and one other book that I'm like, oh man, this is really inappropriate, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the ones he got last time were not... It felt like a grab. Like, it felt like he just pulled 7 books out and went, these. Like, it didn't seem like there was much interest in characters or stories or creators. It was just, here's books. All right, man, whatever.
So I'm like, look, it's going to be $7 to ship this one. It's going to be $14 to ship this one because it's extra. I have to use a bigger box. Like, no, that's fine. And I'm like, fine. Write down exactly where it's going and all that stuff. And then he does. He's like, can you email me and give me the tracking numbers of the guy who did it last time? Fine. And then he goes, actually, if you just want to give it to me, I can drop it off at the post office. And I said, I'm not doing this right now. Like, I don't have the time to stop what I'm doing and package up these things and give them to you. And I don't need you to offer to wait around.
Yeah.
Like, I will get to this later today. They will go out today.
Yeah.
Except the mail never came.
You spent $6.93. I'm not dropping everything I'm doing to package this stuff
He
up.
specifically pointed out that he was buying the back issues for his incarcerated family member to throw us some money because we're doing him a favor.
$6.93.
Yep.
Yep, thanks.
So, of course, this is... all these mail order things go the day after the recycling is picked up, so all the packing paper is unavailable.
Real quick, you said the mail didn't come today. Was there mail waiting? Did the mail come Thursday?
The mail came Thursday, yes.
Okay, cool.
But yes, there was mail waiting to go out today as well.
Okay. Because we got the confirmation email for pickup at 8 o'clock at night.
They came when I was there.
Usually means they didn't come.
Well, since we're talking about the mail, I have good news.
What's up?
The mail carrier yesterday gave us good news.
What's that?
We now have a dedicated mail person for our route.
Oh, cool.
Everybody we've had for the last few months are people working overtime.
Oof.
And they all have regular shifts.
Yeah.
So I was told that the new mail carrier is very good. She's very nice. We'll like her very much.
Cool.
And I said, when does she start? And I was told, soon.
Okay.
But it's like getting a diamond customer service rep.
We'll have him for a few days.
Well, no, I mean, we'll finally have somebody who's just supposed, so we can, like, explain, hey, the Cloud Vapor Lounge isn't there anymore, or...
So, were you saying the diamond rep thing is a joke because we just lost our diamond rep?
Did we?
Did you not get that email?
Today?
Yesterday or today.
No.
No longer with the company. Yeah, I thought that was a joke.
Oh.
Yeah. No, our diamond rep, who we just got like a few weeks ago, gone.
I'm glad he called to thank us for the Christmas card.
Uh-huh.
I did not get that email.
Yep.
That's so weird.
Yep.
Huh.
Anyway, so...
Wow, I wonder if... yeah, okay.
So you're going to pack up some stuff.
Yeah. So I pack it all up. And I go to print mailing labels for everything I have to ship out. And I looked to see if this was in the mailing address. The address book.
For USPS.
USPS. But I was looking under the institution name and then the person's name. But it was there, but all the way at the very bottom, something different. But it doesn't matter because it's a different prison that it's being sent to.
Yeah, people move around.
And because it's a different prison, for whatever reason, I could not get USPS.com to accept this new address. And it was so frustrating that I called down and said, how did you get it to go to a prison? Because I didn't know what the problem was.
Mm-hmm. And I explained my process, but I didn't realize until midway through the conversation that it was a completely different place.
Yeah, I didn't either. I wouldn't have thought that like a month later.
Yeah.
But as you say, people get transferred all the time.
Sure. So you had explained what you were doing and what the problems were, and I mean, there was no real way around it. Like you tried it. You're like, look, I got to do something else. I'll come back to this.
So the problem wound up being the actual street address of the correctional facility is not recognized by USPS.com.
Yeah, you went and looked up. Like
I went to their website,
the facility, to find out is
and
the
I
address
just cut
right.
and paste. And like the guy gave me the right address, and it's like I'm making this up. I don't remember, but like 66 Old Highway 211, City State Zip.
Mm-hmm.
Highway, by the way, spelled HWY. I thought maybe that's wrong. No, that's the name of the road. Old Highway 211 is the name of the street, of the road. Then it's address in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I knew that was the problem was it kept saying, hey, something's wrong, try again. Hey, something's wrong, try again. Hey, click this zip code button to see what's wrong. So I do, and it's like, hey, find the zip code by address. So putting the address in, it kept specifically saying that was the problem.
Okay.
Because I thought it was like trying to put the inmate number, which is a long number after the person's name. So long story short, I could never get it done.
Mm-hmm.
So you generously volunteered to email the gentleman
Yeah, I
and
mean,
say...
since this was all my fault to begin with by helping somebody out...
Well, the reason I wanted Dal to do it was because he kept referencing the other guy did it, so I feel if I had said, hey man, it's not working, he wasn't going to believe me.
Sure.
He's going to assume I just didn't want to do it.
He would want to run the card himself, because clearly you're doing
Mm-hmm.
it wrong.
Which, I gotta tell you, the $7 we now didn't make on this isn't worth the effort I put into this transaction.
God, no.
So it since we couldn't mail it out,
Uh-huh.
I refunded the transaction and put the stuff aside. But here's what I did. Here's what I did for him.
What's that, Patrick?
I wrote out on the box, on the envelope, the full address, and I took one of our return address label stickers, stuck it on the box.
Okay.
So if he wants to take these things to the post office himself and pay for it, it has our return address on it. And if he is to say, hey, can I just get some of those to use in the future?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
Because we have had people
Yeah, no. I mean,
do things.
this is one minor favor
Yeah.
and the last favor. Because now it's beyond just it's not making us any money. It's costing us time.
Yeah.
It's costing us energy. It's a distraction. And it's something where it's just flat out, this isn't our job. This is not our responsibility. I don't know this guy. I don't need to get involved in this. I feel like I've done enough. I don't need to keep doing this indefinitely.
I feel
regret
bad
doing it one time.
I wouldn't regret it. Like
I do a little bit.
We've sent things to prisoners before. We know that they appreciate it. We hope they do.
It's just the situation was so weird to start with, where it was like, here's a bunch of things. Like, all right, I already don't know if I should be doing this because I don't know that I'm allowing somebody who shouldn't be able to send these things to bypass systems and procedures that may exist for a reason.
The funniest part to me was he's like, oh wait, I forgot I have a calendar in my car I want to get for him.
Uh-huh.
Can you just hold on? So he comes out and brings back in the calendar.
Uh-huh.
It is a checkbook register
Okay.
with just a 3-year calendar on the outside,
Uh-huh.
which was last year, this year, and next year.
Okay. Yeah,
But
weird.
it's a check register.
Just weird.
That's the calendar.
Yeah, the whole situation is weird.
Yeah.
So I'm okay kind of pushing away from it and saying we did enough. Like this is not something I feel comfortable doing.
If this is somebody
long-term.
who shopped with us regularly or occasionally or someone we recognize,
But that's the thing. It's not.
that's I'm trying to say that we're not just cold-hearted assholes. That we'd be willing to do this. We wouldn't want to, but we do it for somebody.
Yeah, it's basically like we have subscribers that for whatever reason can't come into the store anymore. Like we will work with them and at times their family to get them their books.
Yeah.
We've had people that have been deployed in the military. We've had people that have moved to different towns, different states. And we've done, if they've asked us to, we have worked with them to make sure they get their books. This is someone who basically comes in off the street and goes, cool, can you mail all these things? Because I can't mail them, I'm not allowed to. Like, this is a situation where if I took a step back, I'd go, this is real sketchy. I don't know if I feel comfortable with this. And I understand why Barnes & Noble would eventually say, no.
Yeah.
Like, one time is a one-time favor. When it becomes like a constant thing and an expectation, nope. Feel weird about it. Feel real uncomfortable with it. And that's above and beyond the, I'm at work, this is taking me away from my work to do a favor for someone I don't know continuously.
And the stack of stuff that was being sent that wasn't bought from us was a ton of stuff. And, you know, books and magazines. Any one of those cost more than the $7 he spent throwing us money.
Yeah, it was weird. So, yeah, I emailed the guy and basically said, you know, the address doesn't work. We're not going to be able to ship it out. We've refunded you your money. Sorry for the inconvenience. Like an hour later, he emails back, oh, can you try running one of these two addresses instead? And I said, sorry, no, we've already refunded your money. And then I haven't heard back from him.
Oh, I was going to say, because I didn't, since you blind copied me, I didn't see those back.
Yeah. I blind copied you his original...
That's fine.
The email to him.
Yeah.
But past that, it's like, I didn't send it from the store address because
Yeah.
I will deal with it. But I told him...
And as you said, we already refunded his money.
Yeah, and I told him, we'll keep your stuff aside for you until you can come pick it up. So maybe he'll come in tomorrow, maybe he'll come in Sunday, maybe he'll never come in, I don't know.
Speaking of keeping things aside until someone comes to pick them up, some woman came in today and dropped off a large package of Gene Ha original art for Gene Ha,
Weird.
and then said, "Oh, I'll tell him that it's here."
Thanks.
You didn't tell him ahead of time.
Yeah, you didn't tell us, you didn't tell him, great.
So they're just down by the Lucy sketches.
Okay.
One of the interesting things to me about this podcast is that we reach a lot of people around the world, and for as much of what we talk about is specific to our store, and for as much as we feel like either we're boring or repeating ourselves, somebody will always point out that there's some value to this, or something that they didn't know, or we've helped them understand how their comic shop does certain things. And we had a nice letter from one of our Patreons, Ryan Alcock, who I did not know is in the UK. And specifically last week's talk about subscription service that had helped him understand certain things. But at the same time, when we mentioned checking the bags, that is a thing he had never heard about and would not do.
No, I think I brought it up. It's something that in Chicago, I don't get asked to do at any store.
Yeah.
And yet, I mean, every suburban comic shop I worked at basically had a rule like, you have to check bags. Like, people have to leave their bags at the counter when they come in the store.
I do appreciate when people say, do you need to check this? And I get to say, no, we trust you.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way Ryan does. If I was in a store and they're like, hey, can you check your bag? I would just walk out.
Yeah. And
I know that makes me look guilty in their eyes. I don't care.
Again, to be clear, when we say check, we mean leave. Like, we don't physically look inside someo's bag to make sure that it's
that's a good
got
point.
stuff in it. It's basically just asking people to leave their bags aside if they're going to walk around the store, which is such a specific comic shop thing that when people come in and they've gone to a lot of comic shops, especially from out of town, there is an expectation from them that they'll have to leave their bag. And like Patrick said, it's nice to be able to say, no, you don't have to if you don't want to. But yeah, it's not a thing that any other store I've been to in Chicago has asked me to do. And yet, like, it strikes me as more of a Chicago thing than a suburban thing, because mostly in the suburbs people have cars, so they're not wearing bags and backpacks.
Yeah.
But in the suburbs, like, for sure, when I worked at a comic shop, you were expected to have people leave their bags. If an owner came in and saw someone with a bag in the store that you were working at the time, you would be in trouble for not policing that situation. Like, the expectation was anyone who has a bag must be stealing.
Sure.
Yeah, it's
especially people that are wearing a full backpack.
Yeah.
I'm never worried about it. I'm like, you can't get stuff in there.
No.
You can't easily steal without being a spectacle.
Yeah, mostly because I've seen people spend so much time at the front counter desperately rearranging their backpacks and bags to fit 3 comics in.
Yeah.
That there's nothing worth money that they could fit in that bag.
I mean, there's no easy way to take some books in your hand, over your head, drop it into an open backpack, unless the backpack is totally empty.
But I've seen more full bags than empty bags.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's true.
But yeah, it is a weird comic shop thing. We've gone back and forth on doing it. There were times where, specifically for Sidekicks, when we had action figures in there, that was a very high-profile target for people.
Yeah.
So we ended up sort of enforcing a rule where people couldn't bring bags in there. I would not say we did it across the board, but we had a posted rule about it. So that if we felt like we needed to enforce the rule, we'd be able to point to it and enforce it.
Yep. It rarely ever happens, but every once and forever, when somebody does a thing, you're like, oh, I'm sorry, this is our rule. They're like, I don't see a sign. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you what the rule is. It doesn't have to be posted. I mean, that has made us post we have 2 rules posted at the register. one about you can't buy more than 2 copies, and one about a bag tax.
Yeah, and the bag tax we legally have to. I mean, we put it by the door, so that technically covers us.
But we'd rather be able to point to it.
Especially because we get a lot of people in from out of town who have no idea why we're charging 7 cents for a bag. Their township, their state, their city doesn't ask that of consumers. So when we say, would you like a bag for 7 cents, occasionally, especially from people from out of town, we'll get a, is it cool in some way? Like, why are you charging 7 cents for it? And we try to explain, like, well, there's this.
It's definitely not cool.
It's not. It's very bland, and it is a requirement of the city of Chicago that we charge you 7 cents if you take a bag.
Have you heard about the new bag tax? Well, the current bag tax, but its new iteration?
No.
First of all, studies around the country show that the longer the bag tax is enacted, the less people care, and then the more money the city will make. Like, the first year a bag tax goes into effect, people are like, nope, bring my own tote bags, don't care.
Yeah,
but people
for Chicago, it wasn't that. It was no, and I hate ROM.
Yeah.
Like, so much was specifically about ROM, and it's like, okay, I get it. I will let him know.
when he comes in to get
I
his
will
bag tax
tell
money.
Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel that you are against the bag tax and will not be paying 7 cents for a bag. Done.
And you hate him personally.
Uh-huh.
So they anticipate more money coming in, but also, since it's not enough, starting in the spring, around April sometime, the bag tax is going to increase from 7 cents to, any guesses?
8 cents.
Down the city of Chicago.
8.5 cents.
A halfpenny. Well, it's a trick question because they're not sure yet, but it is either 10 cents or 12 cents.
So the tax is going to be, what do you got on you?
Yeah.
Which is a very Chicago way of collecting a tax. How much you got?
What you got? What you got?
Very excited to make a new sign then. That's cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Can't wait to enact that and be like, sorry everybody, now it's an extra 10
I
cents.
kind of want to make a sign that says, bag tax logo. The city of Chicago requires us to
shake you down.
to collect 10 or 12 cents if you if you request a bag. I don't know. Could be one, could be both.
This may be one of those things we shouldn't say publicly, but full disclosure, we haven't paid the bag tax at all in 2018.
Yeah, they made it really complicated to report it. We would gladly pay it.
We have it aside. We're ready to give it to them at the drop of a hat.
It's just unclear how we do that.
Yes.
And how we're recording exactly. Like, the first year it was not simple, but there was a sense
it
of,
was
like,
stupid.
this is how many bags we got.
You have to pay the tax in advance for every bag you have in the store.
Yeah. But you also have to collect it. That was the thing that was so weird, was like, so wait, could we just give the city of Chicago 7 cents per bag and just hand the bags out? And, like, in the literature, it was, no, you cannot.
You cannot do that.
No. You have to pay it, and then you have to collect it. Okay?
Yeah, like as if with a secret shopper, the city would send in secret shoppers seeing if people are just being given bags. Now, I know that the city is very short-staffed. I know that there's issues with all types of parts of the government where there's not enough employees doing the more menial tasks like that. For example, parking officials.
Enforcement. Oh,
yes.
man, oh, man.
Yeah, so now that white SUV that's been in front of the store for over 2 weeks now has 2 tickets on the front.
Yeah. It had 1 ticket for like 10 days, which seems so wasteful, so inefficient.
In the past, you would see it get a new ticket every day.
Oh
and then
my God,
boot.
that thing would have a boot on it within a week.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Good news.
I wonder who would park it there and never check on it.
I don't know.
Gina surmised that they're fake tickets.
Oh, maybe. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Also, probably very illegal. Just that whole stretch of parking for our store, since we've been open, since back in 2008, there's been a sign up indicating that you should pay at the pay box. Except there hasn't been a pay box since we've been open in 2008.
There's no pay box sign.
Isn't there one?
No. There's a green sign that says 2-hour parking.
Oh, okay.
Everyone mistakes that for a pay box sign.
I do too. Yeah, because it's the same color and design as the pay box sign.
That's that's why I always say to people, it's not pay parking. Like, people just assume it is.
Sure.
It says 2-hour parking from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay.
It doesn't say paid.
Okay, the exact same color and design
Sure,
as the
right.
Pillbox ones.
But look at it next
Yeah.
time you're in. It specifically does not say paid parking.
No, I believe you. It's really poor design.
Sure. And it used to be that there were 3 spots in front of our store, and then the rest of that strip is a bus stop.
Right.
So there was no parking, which was great when you had to pull up and unload, or pull up and have someone jump in the car or whatever. But then they took the bus stop away.
Even before that, it was kind of a pain because people kept kind of inching ahead of it.
Yeah.
Like the demarcation between parking and no parking was a lamppost.
Yeah.
So people would you'd start to have half a car length in front of the lamppost. And then you'd have a full car parked in front of the lamppost. And then you started to have 2 cars parked in front of the lamppost. And it was just this encroaching into the bus space that, people just kept adding on to it. So there were times where we would want to unload, and it's like, oh, now we are actually at the end of the block.
Yeah.
Because people just kept parking into the bus stop.
And once the bus stop went away, there was never an official, hey, you can park here now, announcement or signage, but people just started doing it automatically.
Mm.
And it used to make it very difficult to unload sometimes. But for now, we're okay. For now. I want to give an update to the new back issue racks, the
drawers.
The
filing
lateral
cabinets.
filing cabinets. That is what they're called. Lateral filing cabinets.
Not horizontal.
Not horizontal. Lateral.
Lateral.
I enacted a plan to sturdy them after giving it some consideration, and I found myself at a Menards last Saturday evening for a different reason. Actually, it was just a matter of, oh, hey, there's Menards, I'll go in. And the Menards in Chicago on, I guess, near Fullerton, past Damon. It's not actually on Fullerton, but, it's in that back area, across from where we got those tuxes.
Elston?
Elston is where the Home Depot is.
Right, but if you take that down...
Maybe. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It boasts the largest lumber yard in Chicago. Well, it was night, and it was raining, and it was cold, and most of their lumber yard is outside. And it's so large that I couldn't find anything. And I said, F this, man. So I was at a Home Depot, and not only did I know what I wanted, but I was expecting to have to use their cutting area to cut wood. They sold the wood pre-cut in exactly the sizes I needed.
Cool.
So much easier. So I bought some cut 2x4s, and I bought some number 10 bolts, 2 inches. I didn't want to go any further. I wanted to make sure we don't stick out too far and gouge anything. It just shows the difference between having a plan and doing it step by step versus let's wing it. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of just winging it, which I do almost all the time. But that usually causes bigger problems.
It can, sure.
And this was step by step. It was a little more labor intensive. Luckily, the brand new cart that we have came into play because I could tip them back, slide the cart in, because it has a very long lip on the end, and it can hold 1,000 pounds.
Okay.
So lean them forward, roll them out, so I have access to the back. And I mounted 3 2-foot 2x4s across the back of the 2 individual units. But instead of just hammering away or drilling through it, I drilled holes through the wood and then through the cabinets themselves. And then Gina and I ran the bolts through and bolted them on. And then tested the weight, and it worked. It worked great.
Okay.
With as many books as we had for the bottom drawer of the top unit, we didn't have enough to fill it. But you pull it out, no danger of tipping. You try to tip it, and it doesn't go.
Cool.
Very happy with how it turned out. However, there was a lot of effort. I had to drill 12 holes through 2x4s and through the back of the cabinets. And it took a lot of effort and a lot of pushing. And I realized when I was putting everything away why that was. And I go, hey, Gina, want to hear something funny? And she said, oh, God, is that we did something wrong and have to redo it all funny? I go, no. I took my glasses off at the start of this just because they would get in the way. I didn't want to get them sweaty or whatever. So when I opened my case of drill bits and I selected the proper drill bit, that's the right size to match the number 10 bolt, which, truth be told, I don't know what size a number 10 bolt is, and I was just eyeballing it. My drill bit case was upside down, so the drill bit I took was for masonry, and it has a little wedge on the top because it's meant for digging through stone. And there were points when I'm going through the 2x4s because it would push and then shoot through and then push and then shoot through. I'm like, why does it keep like stuttering like this? That makes perfect sense now.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And I can't help but wonder how much faster it would have gone had I had the right bit.
Jeez.
I mean, it all worked fine.
Sure, it all worked out.
And Gina was a great big help, especially there were things on the lower shelves I'm not built to get into as far as she is.
Okay.
And I would be on the back end with pliers and the bolt, and she'd be tightening from the inside. And it came out great. And then we, and it took a while.
Sure.
And it was messy, but we did it in steps. It worked fine.
Good work.
Thanks. I'm very happy with how that worked out. The only thing I hate about these things, the drawers don't move really cleanly.
Okay.
Like the bottom drawer on the top unit doesn't move that cleanly. But the biggest drawback is they don't stay open.
No, okay.
They like to roll backwards. They don't necessarily slam all the way, but like you gotta hold it open if you're looking through.
Sure.
I don't know. I've yet to see anybody even look in them.
Sure.
There is no signage.
That's the problem.
Well, I was going to do that to you.
Okay.
And I meant to do some touch-up because we scuffed some paint a little bit today.
Okay.
Just leaning everything forward onto the cart.
Sure.
It kind of scraped off. And yeah, I don't know that I mean, these would look good if that's all we had, but I don't know how practical they are.
Yeah, especially if you have to hold the drawer open.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
And also, these are like $250 units.
Yeah.
So it's like $500 worth of shelving.
Yeah.
For a 3-foot section.
How many would we need if we replaced everything?
A lot. I don't know how many feet we have of back issues.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind that these take up the space of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 16 boxes, but actually fits 20 boxes worth of books in it.
Okay.
So we would need at least 3. We have 60 some odd boxes.
3 sets of 2.
Yeah, and that's
okay.
That's not everything.
Yeah. So it would be $1,500 probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To replace everything we have now.
Versus the drawer boxes, which, while they are getting a little bit more beat up,
Yep.
they're fine.
Yeah.
Especially for how little money we make on back issues.
Yeah, I mean, they're 99 cents each, you know?
Yeah. Good for sending to prisons, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Did you, and you know I did not, did you watch the Avengers trailer?
I did. The next Avengers movie is called Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, how lame is that?
It's what a lot of people predicted. I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
I heard everybody predicted Annihilation.
I heard that one recently, but Endgame was the one that the last 3 or 4 months had been like the top contender.
I mean, I get it. It's the end of Phase 3.
Sure.
It's the end of a lot of things. I just think Endgame is a boring, overused name.
What if the Game Master shows up in it?
Then call it Game Master.
No, this is how they surprise you.
Eh.
It's right there in the title.
Like, I wouldn't want it to be called Annihilation unless, as I told you, it has Annihilus in it.
It has to have Annihilus and the Annihilation Wave.
Yeah, if it doesn't have the Annihilation Wave, why is it called Annihilation?
I guess that's why they didn't call it that then.
Good enough. And while I do know certain things just from...
The social medias?
Well, not about the trailer, but about what's coming up in general.
Sure. Do you know they're making a Captain Marvel movie?
Yeah, it's Chuck. Chuck is Shazam.
Uh-huh.
I didn't need to see somebody talking about Ronan on the social media.
No, it's Ronan the Accuser. He's in the Captain Marvel movie. Don't forget that.
Oh, right.
Lee Pace.
Right. Ronan.
When Lee Pace was at the Ace Comic Con in Chicago, he described the process of transforming into Ronan the Accuser. Mm-hmm. And it was basically, by the time they finished all the makeup and all the parts, he can't see or hear anything.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, because it's like face paint and contacts and this helmet and this other helmet, and like when he's in that thing, like he doesn't know what's going on.
Okay.
which kind of explains his performance in Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of very loud and very intense. Probably because that's the only way he knows he's doing it.
Sure. Did you like the trailer?
I did. It's the slight problem I have with it is I think in conjunction with the Captain Marvel trailer, it's not real fun.
Okay.
It's
Well, they're all dead.
I mean that's the thing. I will give it that it would be maybe inappropriate to make a fun, lighthearted Avengers 4 trailer because half of the cast is dead. So it's very much a sad survivors kind of trailer. Although they do put a joke at the end there that is pretty funny.
Okay.
So it's not like the same people who made the very fun Avengers Infinity War are going to forget how they did that because they were making this one at the same time.
Is there no one in the trailer who had died?
Is there no one in the trailer who had died? I don't understand the phrasing of that question.
Like, is there a Spider-Man?
No.
You know, anyone that died in the last movie.
Does not show up in this, correct.
Okay, yeah.
But there's I guess one person that the actor had said, even though they didn't appear in...
The last Avengers movie?
They were in the Avengers movie, but we didn't see them disappear or not disappear.
Okay.
And they had said, oh no, I lived. And then this trailer basically says, no, they died.
Oh, okay. Is it Ant-Man?
This isn't really a spoiler, it's Shuri. There's a screen where someone's looking at it and it says Shuri missing. So we didn't see Shuri disappear at the end of Avengers Infinity War, I don't think. But
well, she's missing.
Letitia Wright had said that she... Angela Bassett, I think, had said that her and Letitia Wright's characters had both survived.
Okay.
But this tells us that, no, Shuri did not survive the end of Infinity War.
Whoops.
Yeah. But otherwise, I thought it was a very strong trailer. It's very melancholy because it is about being the last Avengers movie featuring most of these, if not characters, then cast members. And I don't know that the dramatic stuff is necessarily what these characters and actors are best known for, but I thought they put some stuff in the trailer that I found sort of affecting.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously it's maybe the must-see movie of 2019. If I was to only see one film, and I'm assuming Yorgos Lanthimos doesn't have anything on the screens in 2019.
If he did, and you didn't know anything about it,
Uh-huh.
and you could only see one movie...
I always prefer to know nothing about it. And he
Sure.
does kind of crank out about a movie a year. Killing of a Sacred Deer came out in November 2017. Favorite came out in December 2018. So, I mean, he works fast. These movies aren't usually that complex. I don't know. Don't make me choose.
But it was your caveat.
Don't make me choose. No, the Avengers movie looks good. Did you watch the Captain Marvel trailer? I can't remember if we talked about that.
I did. I'm not as invested in that, so I don't care if I see things.
Sure.
I may be in the minority, but I didn't really care for the first one that much. I thought it was weird that Nick Fury got most of the lines and not Captain Marvel.
I wouldn't say minority. I think it was pretty much from what I had experienced, half and half. Some people adored it, and some people just outright disliked it.
I mean, I'm excited for the movie. I'm going to see it.
Sure.
Kelly Sue has been posting a bunch of photos from the set because she's on the set.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad. A bunch of the reason why this movie is happening is because of her hard work.
She's got her own director's chair with her
And
name on it.
Obviously, Jamie McKelvey and Dexter Soy and Emma Rios and David Lopez and all the people who worked on the book.
It wasn't just Stan Lee creating her.
No. And in fact, I got to assume most of the stuff that existed pre the Kelly Sue version probably not going to be in the movie because it's all pretty weird and hard to describe and kind of gross.
Wait, so is Brie Larson not going to be in the original 1970s costume? 1960s costume? 1970s?
No.
Carol Danvers debuted in the comics
So
50 years ago.
So do you have...
50 years ago.
What's the one where there's like a future guy and they make a baby and he might be the baby or something?
That would be Avengers 200.
You think they're saving that for the sequel?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, so she is basically raped by her own child.
Uh-huh.
Avengers 200, people, look it up.
And, I mean, not to drag up some real regrettable storytelling, but, like, someone had brought that up semi-recently, just like hey, in case you didn't know, like, how weird and awful Marvel Comics were at a certain point, here's this story that includes Carol Danvers being like, I don't want to have this weird baby that I got impregnated with. And the Wasp being all like, how dare you? This is great. It's great. We're so happy for you. The whole Avengers were like, this is such a glorious event. And it's like, you're all creeps. Every single one of you are creeps.
What I did learn about that specific issue is that baby not allowed to host the Oscars.
Oh, okay. Whoops.
Yeah. Yep.
Yikes.
The world turns fickle. Mm-hmm. I mean, fickle-y. Not it's turning fickle. It's just...
Here's a Marvel thing that I sort of realized this week. Marvel Comics. We've talked a little bit about the effect of Marvel movies on the Marvel Comics, and like the February books, the variant cover thing that they're doing for the month, the theme for a lot of variant covers is
It's Skrulls.
It's Skrulls. Because if you didn't know it, the Skrulls are the major villain for the Captain Marvel movie, so guess what happens in February? A bunch of Skrulls.
That they couldn't use for the Avengers movie, so they just used the Chitauri?
So it's super weird that they're doing it, and it crystallized for me why a lot of big Marvel events and Marvel publishing moves don't work for me.
Okay.
They're doing the Skrull covers because the Captain Marvel movie is including the Skrulls. And the Captain Marvel movie is including the Skrulls because Marvel did the Secret Invasion storyline. Like, that's the main thing that people seem to be keying into from what's going on is, they're building to Secret Invasion. So Marvel basically has to do a thing that references Secret Invasion. Except it's in the universe that's already done Secret Invasion as a story.
A decade ago.
And that's a lot of what Marvel publishing ends up being. Weird echoes of 10 years ago. Like, you'll have something where Thanos is going to be in the movies. Cool, well, Thanos is going to do the Infinity Gauntlet thing because that's what he did in the comics, and that's a really good story that's fodder for films. So the comics have to reference that, except the comics did the Infinity Gauntlet back in the 80s and 90s. Like, all of that stuff is done. So the Marvel Universe basically has to do this thing where, like, okay, here's the Infinity Gauntlet again. So much of the mainstream Marvel publishing, the monthly issues, the big events the company's building to, are just weird retreads of stuff. They're not allowed to do new things because they have to do the thing that references the movie that is referencing the comics from decades ago. It's this weird Ouroboros.
Yeah.
Where I don't know what the movies are going to do in 10 years, because are they just going to do retreads of Infinity Gauntlet?
Probably.
That were retreads of the other Infinity Gauntlet? Yeah, it makes for some really dumb storytelling, because the comics publishers, Marvel should be just saying, look, if you're excited about what you're seeing from the Skrulls in the Captain Marvel trailer, here's a Secret Invasion trade. It's all done. Just buy that.
No, you should buy Skull Kill Crew instead.
Instead, you should buy 18 different things that have Skrulls on it, which people don't do. They buy 0 of them. Which, again and again and again, one trade. You know, like, we don't have 15 different Spider-Man trades out on the front counter because of Spider-Verse coming out. We have 2, and even that's a lot. One is just the Amazing Spider-Man book by Nick Spencer, because we like the Amazing Spider-Man book by Nick Spencer, so it's a good idea to have some sort of staple stuff where you can go, here's a Batman trade, here's a Spider-Man trade, that kind of thing. But for Spider-Verse, the only book we have on the counter is Spider-Verse. It's the one book that's got everything in it. It's got the first appearance of Spider-Gwen, it's got early stuff with Miles, it's got Peter Parker, it's got Spider-Ham, it's got
the Superior Spider-Man,
Spider-Man Noir, it's got the first appearance of Penny Parker and Spider. So all of the stuff that's in the trailer, all the stuff that is probably going to be a major part of the film, even though it's not the story the film's doing, here you go.
Yeah.
Here you are. Here's the book. I don't need to tell you 6 different things that you could probably pick up. I just say this. Pick up this one.
This one right here.
Yeah. You could also, though, do the first Miles Morales Ultimate Collection, or the first volume of Spider-Man, which was the first Peter Parker Miles Morales team-up. Any of those would be acceptable, but just one of them. Just, if you're a store, just do one of them. Don't confuse people. Don't give them 8 or 9 or 10 different things.
Be ready when they ask where to next.
Sure. Yeah, all of those are good jumping on points. Like Spider-Verse, if you finish that, hey, there's a billion Dan Slott books. Read those. Spider-Geddon will probably be out in trade soon. Pick that up. You know, Miles Morales Ultimate Collection Volume 1, Miles Morales Ultimate Collections Volume 2 and 3, and then the single volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2.
I understand. No, don't do that.
I mean, if you want a follow-up, there's a follow-up. It's not very good, but it's there.
Is it a follow-up?
It is, because there's a cliffhanger at the end of Spider-Man Volume 1. And then they got to it too many years too late, and The cliffhanger didn't make any
There's
sense.
no payoff. No payoff.
Uh-huh.
I don't blame people for being confused. We had somebody come in today asking for the next issue of Star Wars Thrawn,
Uh-huh.
only to be told, no, that's done. Like, wait, that was it?
That was it.
I wanted more. And I'm on the one hand, I'm like, it was just a miniseries. You read it, couldn't you tell?
Mm-hmm.
But no, you can't. It doesn't say the end. It doesn't say this is the last issue. It doesn't say one
never
of
the
6
end.
on it. You just don't know. And I can't tell you how many times customers and fellow retailers are all like, is this a one-shot? That new Invader series, who knows what's up with that?
A subscriber had written an email saying, yeah, that 1975 series that Joe Casey's doing at Image, is it just the 3? And I'm like, as I'm reading the email, I'm like, no. So I look it up. It's just 3. So I'm like, it's 3 for now. They may come back to it. I don't know. But currently, yeah, man, it's just 3. And it feels like,
I mean,
oh, we got real burned by stocking this because
Yeah.
it's 3 issues and no one's going to care.
They didn't tell us it was 3.
Nope.
Do you think it was 3? Or it sold so bad that he's like, no, I'm out.
I don't know for sure, but it sold super bad for us.
Super
and
bad.
we feel...
And I liked it.
It feels
I
like we're a store
promoted it.
that should have done okay with that, and the fact that we didn't means everybody probably got burned on that.
Yeah.
I hope not. I hope stores didn't get burned too bad on it, but yeah, I mean, our numbers plummeted. By issue 3, I think we were basically subscriber only or close to it.
And we didn't have that many subscribers.
No, we promoted it. We stocked a bunch.
I mean, I
Got caught out.
I
on
was
it.
excited for that and for Maneaters and like that was the same period. Those
So
were
here's
listed.
a weird thing. Speaking of Maneaters,
Okay.
it was a day of the week, so Marvel announced another Conan project they're publishing.
Okay.
Age of Conan.
Oh, I haven't heard this.
It's a miniseries, 5 issues, I think.
They did tell us from the get-go they had 3 series planned.
Sure. So obviously Conan the Barbarian, which is the Jason Aaron, Mahmoud Asrar, at least to start.
Savage Sword of Conan, Jerry Dugan, Ron Garney.
At least to start. And then Age of Conan, which is a 5-issue miniseries, written by Teenie Howard, art by Kate Nemchek.
Huh.
5 issues by Kate Nemchek.
Huh.
Kind of makes me wonder what's going on with Maneaters.
Yeah?
I
Weird.
mean, books go on breaks, but boy, if you're doing 5 issues of a series, that break's going to be real long.
Yeah.
Especially
Interesting.
considering... do you remember when Kate Nemchek was supposed to do, I think, 6 issues of Mockingbird for a story arc?
Yeah. And did 5.
And did 5? So yeah, real interested to find out what the scheduling's going to look like for Maneaters in 2019.
Did you hear the other Conan news from the day?
Yes, that is not the extent of Conan's appearances in March of 2019. He'll be in his 3 comic books. Although Age of Conan is about Belit,
Oh, okay.
with covers by Sana Takeda, which look real good.
Okay. I like Belit. Belit, the Pirate Queen that he was in love with. I have a affinity for that time period.
The only Conan stuff I've really ever read was the Brian Wood, Becky Cloonan stuff.
Okay.
And I think she was in that for like a minute or something.
As much as I've read of other Conan stuff over the years, I remember nothing but the Marvel stuff.
Sure. Well, he's back at Marvel, and he's so back at Marvel that
He's in the
March of
Avengers!
2018, he's going to be in Avengers No Road Home number 6.
Where basically the Scarlet Witch comes to him.
Yeah, she goes to the Hyborian Age. I don't know how that works in Marvel terms, but that's what it's called. So Conan the Barbarian.
Boy, they're betting big. I had somebody call today and say, "Can you add that to my list?" And I had to say, "Which one?"
Yeah. Yeah,
And that was before I knew of Age of.
yeah, boy, I hope they're not muddying the waters too much.
I mean, you got to pay a hefty license fee. You got to get your money's worth.
I guess, but what if one book got a chance to be successful before they added a bunch of other ones? Because
Well, then they wouldn't. Never mind. I was going to make a bad joke, but I won't.
because this is the problem that we have as stores is we're guessing on issue 1 of Conan the Barbarian. You know, we solicit pre-orders. We
I
kind
mean,
of
I'm pretty sure that it's going to exist. You don't have to guess that much.
we gauge the temperature of the room. We try and figure out, like, are people excited about this? Is there a response to this from consumers? And that informs how much we order. But then we have to, before that first issue of Conan the Barbarian even comes out, to find out, did we guess right? Are we ordering the right number of this? we then have to ask the same people who signed up for Conan the Barbarian, okay, do you want Savage Sword as well? And with most of these books, when they introduce a second title, great, the second title is going to sell a percentage of the first one, less than 100%, but a percentage. So how many people who are going to get Conan the Barbarian sight unseen are going to want Savage Sword of Conan sight unseen? And of that, what can we multiply that out to assume that what are the rack sales going to be? Like if we were ordering, and this isn't the number we ordered, but just to give you a nice round number, if we ordered 100 copies of Conan the Barbarian #1, what do we order for Savage Sword #1?
8.
Is that what you want to order?
No.
I mean, realistically, like if we were ordering 100 Conans.
60?
60? See, I would 50 is like the top of what I would order for Savage Sword #1, because I gotta assume maybe half the people who read Conan #1 are going to want a second Conan book right away, and I think it's probably less than that.
And a large number of them are going to be disappointed it's not an oversized black and white magazine. I know I would be.
Yeah, also the weird thing, I had to point this out to a subscriber. So Conan the Barbarian #1,
Mm-hmm.
Savage Sword #1,
Mm-hmm.
cover of Conan the Barbarian #1, he has a sword. Cover of Savage Sword, he has an axe.
That's how savage of a sword it is. It's an
That's-
axe.
Quality Marvel editorial stewardship of these properties. Just
Well, I mean, the Barbarian part of the Conan of the Barbarian logo is in a sword. So he has to have a sword in that one.
I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, I don't love when publishers announce multiple titles in a family before the first title in the family has come out. I feel like that's the thing that the companies like Dynamite do, and it bothers me to no end, and we usually pass altogether.
Yeah.
So when Marvel's doing it, I'm sure they look at it like, we want to make a splash, we want to show how much we care about this property and how big it's supposed to be, so it's got to have multiple titles to show how big it is. But to me, it always just smacks of desperation. It smacks of, we have to get these numbers before people find out how poorly it sells. Before they find out how little interest there is, we got to get all the money before there's no money. So, yeah, not crazy excited about them announcing a third title in 3 months for Conan.
That's not to say it won't be great.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a Conan guy, so while I'll probably try them all out, I don't expect I'll stick with any of them. It's just not my genre.
Sure.
Sword and sorcery and barbarians and stuff. I don't care. It's not my thing.
It was good old Mr. Crackers who convinced George to buy the original Barry Windsor Smith Conan 1-6 at ye old Chicago Comic-Con back in the Pitt or Americana Congress Hotel, whatever it was back then.
Uh-huh.
Back in the day.
What day was that, do you think? What year might that have been?
Oh, I don't know.
Give me a range.
It was definitely the 82 to 84.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Barry Windsor Smith had gone on to do big things by that point. I mean, he'd done X-Men and stuff.
Yeah, an occasional issue here and there. Life,
Sure.
Death 1, Life, Death 2, Life, Death 3.
Sure.
Obviously, Solar had yet to happen.
Obviously.
Or Weapon X.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't remember.
Okay.
I can't remember a lot of things.
Okay.
I don't have to.
No?
That's what Wikipedia is for.
What if that goes away? Then
Oh
what?
man, it is difficult to, when somebody wants a Hellblazer City of Demons miniseries
Uh-huh.
that was drawn by Sean Gordon Murphy,
Yeah.
and you have to go back and look and say, okay, well, it's out of print, they're not doing it, but it will eventually be in the...
Will it?
I think if they're going chronologically...
But are they doing miniseries
I
and
think
graphic
so.
novels and stuff? Because there's, what about, all his engines? Is that going to be in something or
Yeah.
not?
I don't know. I would think you would want a Sean Gordon Murphy anything in stock.
But that stuff, yes, for sure you should, and you absolutely should if you were a smart company who is publishing a bunch of Sean Gordon Murphy projects, maybe make sure all of his stuff is in print. But I don't know if that's the way that the Hellblazer collections are going. I don't know if they're including all of the miniseries and one-shots, especially stuff that may not be part of that continuity
Yeah.
of those issues. Do you know what I mean?
I want to say they're doing some of them, but I'm not looking at it, and honestly, it doesn't matter. No one who's listening to this cares aside from Frank.
Okay.
And Frank knows the answer, I'm sure. Also, Frank, you don't have to tell us. We're good. But thank you. And thank you for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.
I assume you had nothing.
I didn't have anything.
All right.
I talked about the dumb Marvel thing I wanted to talk about.